When I was 21 years old, I was just coming out of a really debilitating relationship. You know, the kind that leaves you absolutely just shattered as a man. Your self-esteem and everything is just rock bottom. And it was at this point in my life that I was really trying to, coming out of a horrible relationship, trying to get my life back together, I started to think about, I'd like to learn to be more attractive to women. How can I flirt better with women? How can I pick up better women in my life so I don't have to go through that again? How can I feel sexy? And as I started this journey, I really became focused on a certain kind of woman. And the kind of woman was, when you walk into a bar or club and you see these women and they're like, they're not just attractive, but they seem like the most popular women in the bar or club. So they're dressed super skimpy. They've got really attractive / wealthy looking guys with them. And, they just seem to be the top of the pecking order in the bar or club. And I really got focused on those kinds of women. And so I'd be going out, trying to practice, approaching those women, constantly struggling, not just struggling, but really feeling like it was never fun. You know what I mean? Like they would look at me and dismiss me super quickly, or even if they did talk to me, I just felt like I always had this weird imposter syndrome feeling like I didn't belong there, and I would push and push and push and constantly struggle, basically. And knowing what I know now, I realized I was making a big mistake. It was a big mistake that a lot of guys were making. And that mistake is I was trying to approach women from the wrong tribe. I was trying to approach women from a tribe that I didn't belong to, who lived in a world completely different to my own. And this is a mistake that I see the majority of men that I coach making as well. And it's just possible that you yourself are making that mistake as well. If you find yourself approaching certain kinds of women and you're constantly struggling, never feeling like you belong, it could be not that your skills are wrong, but that your choice in women, there's something going askew. And that's what I want to talk about today. Really common advice that you hear in dating coaching circles is don't question whether a girl is too hot for you. Just go in there. Don't question if you should or shouldn't. Just go in and talk and it'll be okay. You deserve any girl you can talk to. And I think really for a lot of guys beginning, that is good advice, because what we tend to do is create a dialogue in our head about lack of self-worth and she's too pretty, all this kind of stuff. We play games in our head. And to just overcome that and just approach and not listen to the little voices in our head, I think that's really powerful. So I don't want to negate that basic message, because I think that's really good for men to feel empowered that I deserve to talk to whoever I want to. However, do you guys remember high school? I don't know if you remember it fondly or not, but high school was a little bit like prison. How is it like prison? Well, other than the fact that you're trapped there between 9 and 3, school was very much like banded into cliques. You had different groups, and unlike in prison, which tends to have racially skewed groups, school generally doesn't. School has cliques. It has your group. You got your cool kids. You had your rich kids. You had your sporty kids. You had your nerdy gamer kids. You had all these different cliques, right? The goth kids. You had these different groups, and they'd all generally hang together. And real life is a lot less harsh than high school. But basically, the same thing applies in real life as well. We tend to form into tribes. Tribes that are generally centered around not necessarily a common interest or hobby, although they can be. They just tend to be a certain personality type, a certain persona, a certain type of person within each type of tribe. And you'll find that no matter where you go in the world, if you go to a different country, if you go to a different city, even if you're not around your original friends, you're still going to make friends with people who seem like they belong from your tribe, right? Even though you've never met them before. They're a certain clique of people. And what I often find is that if you try to date women or try to approach women who are too far out of your tribe, in other words, lots of tribes have similarities, right? So someone who's in one tribe may be able to date women from similar kinds of tribes. But if you try to date too far out of the tribe to which you currently belong, it's a complete mismatch. And your ability to attract that woman or to click or to have anything in common, to really have anything that's going to make that interaction fun for either of you, the odds are really, really low, incredibly low. And this was the mistake I was making. This is a mistake that a lot of guys make, is they focus on approaching women who belong to tribes that are nothing like their own. So if we go back to a topic that I love, which is me, and we think about me, if I think about my dating life right now, what tribes do I belong to? Well, if I think about my interests, because I I have a very complicated life, there are lots of tribes where I can feel comfortable. I am very much about photography. I love my photography. I love motorbike riding. What else do I love? I love self-development. I love fitness and health. I love meditation and yoga, and I love tantra and a lot of that kind of hippie stuff, right? So there's a lot of tribes that I may start to fit into. But what I find is that, even for me, when I was 32 years old, I was in great physical shape, but I still didn't really fit in with the fitness crowd because that was kind of the more chatty crowd, and that wasn't really my thing. I didn't really like those people. So even though I was in the fitness crowd, that wasn't really my tribe. I like intellectual conversation. So anyway, there's a number of different kinds of tribes where I can feel comfortable, types of people that I can feel comfortable around. None of them were ever the Instagram model type of chick, right? So if I go and I try to approach the Instagram model type of chick, she belongs to a different tribe from mine, radically different. But think about it less like tribes and just think about it rationally for a second. What's going on? Well, what I value in an interaction with a woman is a really good sense of humor. I value intellectual conversation and debate, like someone where I can banter and they can banter back with me. It's a demonstration of intelligence. I value this stuff in interaction. This is what I tend to look for with a guy or a girl. I like this stuff. And so when I go on and talk to her, what am I making her feel? Well, actually, I'm not giving her what she wants and needs, which is validation for how she looks. I'm not giving her... In fact, I'm generally making a lot of these women feel really insecure. Why am I doing that? Not on purpose, but because I'm focusing on intellectual conversation and banter. What I'm ending up doing is I'm poking her in the area that she isn't strong, right? I'm making her feel inferior. And in my experience, a lot of the stereotype Instagram model tribe is very neurotic and very insecure, right? They're focused on their looks, but even then they need constant validation to keep feeling good. They need people who will supply that for them. That's not me. That's not the world in which I exist. That's not part of my tribal behavior. And so we'll never get along that well. That's never quite my kind of girl. Fortunately for me, there are plenty of really attractive women in the world from different tribes. There are plenty of really intelligent, incredibly gorgeous women who have a great sense of humor and can banter with me like there's no tomorrow. They're just not part of that Instagram model tribe, generally speaking. And nor would they want to mix with those women. The two wouldn't hang out together, even though they're both really attractive women. Now, that's me. I know that I need to focus on women who belong roughly in my tribe. Okay, so how do you work out if a woman's going to be likely or useful to approach, right? What I tend to do and what I advise my clients is whenever you're looking around, you see a woman, ask yourself, does she look like she would fit in well enough, at least from what I can see, in the tribes that I generally hang out with? And you may be parts of multiple tribes or just one kind of tribe, whatever it is, does she look like she might belong in that group? If the answer is yes, then you should approach because likely there's going to be some common ground. This is where your dating social skills are really going to come into play. But if you say to me, Damien, I'm only part of one tribe and there's only one girl in there and I definitely wouldn't want to date her. And you see this woman who doesn't look like she'd belong and fit at all with the type of people you hang out with, you're just not going to click. You're going to go in there and within reason, no matter how great your social skills are, you're just going to struggle because you two are just not a good match. Fortunately, you can expand your horizons. Fortunately, you can expand the tribes to which you belong and feel comfortable. And often I find that the men who struggle to find women at all who would look like they'd fit into their tribe or tribes are guys who have very two-dimensional tribal lives. And what do I mean by that? I mean that the guys who tend to they're just really focused on one kind of hobby, one lifestyle kind. And so their lives are very narrow, very two-dimensional. But it's been my experience that no man is really that two-dimensional. Every man alive really has a three-dimensional complex series of things in life that interest him. Different hobbies, different interests are there to be had for men. But you need to explore them. And when you start to explore these hobbies and interests, when you start to expand your tribal network, that's when you'll find that you'll come across far more women who are likely to blend with you, who you're more likely to get along with. And so, what I advise guys to do is start exploring what interests you in life. And this is a message I delivered before, and really this is just the same message in a different outfit. But find out what hobbies, what interests there are for you in your life. Start to have a more three-dimensional life. Hang out with different kinds of people. And in the beginning, you'll feel like an outsider, right? When you first start a new tribe, you feel like an outsider. Like when I first got involved in salsa, the salsa dancing tribe felt weird to me. They weren't really my people exactly. But it was a thing that I was passionate about. And very quickly, in a matter of months, I started to feel like I was assimilating, like, oh, now I feel like one of you salsa dancing people. So that's a new tribe that I have under my belt, right? Let's call them social dancers. And yeah, the more you do that, the more you explore different things that you can be interested in, the more women that you're going to click with in your day-to-day life. Forget meeting women on those hobbies. You've just expanded your tribal network. And I think that's very often overlooked in dating advice is, are the women that you're trying to hit on close to the tribe that you're likely to be a member of? Really, really big one. And actually, I've never heard anyone else talk about it. No other dating coaches that I've known of talk about it. They just want to promote this message of, just hit on anyone. You can have any girl you want if your social skills are good enough. I disagree. I think it's very much about where your heads are at and what tribes you feel like you both belong to. What do you feel about that message? It's different. It's unique. I know it. It's something that if you haven't heard before, it's something that you probably need to sit with and think about. Maybe it's going to offend you because you're holding on dearly to the idea that if your social skills are good enough, you can have anyone. Let me know. Let's have a chat about it in the comments below. As always, if you like my channel, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you like some of my other videos as well, I reckon you should check them out. As always, guys, take care, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you in my future videos.